The A students work for the B students, the C students run the businesses, and the D students dedicate the buildings.
Listen, not everybody should go to school, especially if you want to keep your imagination and creativity and curious mind. So, kids, someone who has 19 years of school is talking to you now. And what I can say is don't go to college. The maximum you should attend is high school. Maybe not even that. Just if you want to become an engineer or doctor or architect or something technical. If you want to work a job for someone who's asking you for a diploma, maybe only for this to go to college. But for anything else, save your time and your parents' money and just stay home and look for something that you would really like doing. Something that you would be passionate about. Even if it's not well paid, at least you will be happy. And doing something that makes you happy matters more than being rich. Unless you're a Jew, of course. School as we have it now is an institution developed during the Industrial Revolution for one purpose alone: obedient factory workers. The entire system revolves around authority. The teachers making you ready for your boss, training you like a dog is trained, not only teaching you what to do, but also how to think, how to act in a good manner for your future in the workforce. And most teachers have no idea that this is what they are doing. Remember that these teachers are in the school system since they were kids. Their minds are narrow and washed. Most of the teachers don't even know how to teach. If a kid fails a class, it's not because the kid is stupid. It's because you as a teacher are shit at your job. Most of the cases anyway. There might be one case in a million where the kid is actually an imbecile. And who the hell are you to teach in the first place? I had economics teachers who never had their own business, who never invested in the stock market, who never even own anything. They don't even have savings because they have salaries. The irony of that. An economics teacher who doesn't even know how to save his own money. How can you teach me to do something when you cannot do it yourself? You know the old saying, those who cannot do, teach? Nothing more than truth. But hey, the teachers are only tools in this system. Disposable tools. And believe it or not, they are not the problem. Not even the boring ones who cannot keep the class from yawning. The problem is that this system is simply not working anymore. What you people...
What do you mean, you people?
Need to understand is that school and education are not synonyms. Actually, often they are antonyms. Education makes you have the purpose of learning something, and school has a different purpose: to pass exams. And if we speak about exams, we have to speak about the grading system, which you will be surprised, but it differs from country to country, which for a standardized schooling system is already a red flag. Let me show what I mean. Let's take everyone's favorite broken school system, the US one, and compare it to some other countries. Let's say with India and with Maghreb. In the US, you have the absolutely horrible grading system from A to F with its corresponding A+, A-, B+, B-, and so on. And if you are a non-American, you may ask, okay, but how can you grade an exam who, let's say, has 20 questions, for example, in letters? Well, each question has an allocated percentage, in this case 5%. So if you answer the 18 questions, you will have 90%, which if you look in the equivalence table, that means A-. But what if the test has more questions, let's say 100? Then if you get 90% or 92%, there's no difference, since for you, it's still an A-. And things go south fast if you make the mistake of going to college, since the A to F grading system is replaced by an even more moronic one, the GPA, which is on a scale from 1 to 4, but it can go under 1 as well. Yes, you heard right, 1 to 4. Why 4 and not 5? Or 10, like in the most of the world? At this point, who gives a f*** anyway? Not to mention that in some schools, it goes up to 4.33 because reasons. But the main thing to take from this is that the percentage of your correct answers is calculated from 100, and then the equivalence is made roughly to this table. Here's an idea for these academics. I know it's a lot to ask from your closed minds, but look carefully at these tables. What stands out? What both A to B and 1 to 4 systems have in common? No, you cannot see it? Then I'll tell you. The percentage. Here's a wild idea. Why not just keep the percentage in the first place and get rid of the grading system? If you answered correctly to 70% of the questions, your grade should be 70%. Simple, logical. But then again, logic doesn't apply to the academics. And I want to touch later about the concept of passing grade, which is at least moronic and at most the main reason the schooling system doesn't allow learning. But first let's talk about the French. The French, thinking that different is better, decided to not go with the 1 to 10 grading system used in most of Europe, but they wanted to go up to 20. Why? Because France. But here's the catch. You can never get 20. Very rarely you can even get 18 when the planets align. Even if you answered all of the questions correctly, you'll not get a 20. And the funniest thing is that grades 8 to 10 are considered passable. So if you get less than half of the percentage, in France it's passable. You can imagine how prepared are the French students after they finish school. In the UK, well, since 2017, UK is using this marvel from U to 9. And again, a grade of 4 out of 9, it's passable. But enough of these grading systems. That could be a separate video itself, which I'll make available to my Patreons if they show interest in this topic. Let's talk about this essential thing, the passing grade. Let's say that you are an Italian civil engineer. You just finished university, barely. And you are hired by a construction company. You are hired because you have the diploma, but more importantly, because you have an acquaintance at the company. You know, standard Italian practice. The company won a state contract, honestly, of course, a big project to build a bridge, and you get a part of this project, a small part, because you just got out of the university. You have to design some bolts. You do it from what you remember you've learned at the university, which was not much in the first place. And also, you barely passed your exam. So, from that little amount taught by your very old and mostly senile teacher, you know at most 60%. You design the bolts, and then you move to another project. So then the big day comes, the bridge is open, the cars are passing by, everything looks fine, and suddenly, after 3 years, the bridge collapses, killing 50 people. The investigation that follows shows a couple of important bolts didn't resist the forces and the stress of the bridge, and they broke. The type of steel chosen for these was not up to spec. These were the bolts that you designed, but you didn't know about that type of steel. You didn't like material science at the university. You learned just as much on this subject as needed to pass the exam. And this is one of the biggest problems with the education system. It has consequences in the real world, but the system is not made by people from the real world. Oh no. It is made by the academics who were all taught in the same system they are in, by people who keep staying in the system after the school was finished. People that after high school didn't went in the real world, but they went into the university, and after that they didn't stop there, but they went to masters and then PhDs. They became the system, and after their brains were washed into this schooling system all their lives, they don't know any better. They lost contact with reality. The schooling system became their reality, and for sure they will not be the one to change it. Let's say that you fell into this trap of the schooling system like I did. Let's say you finish the university and you have a doctor diploma. Do you feel capable of taking care of people? Bottom of the class or top, doesn't matter. At least doctors have to be residents to actually practice. And this is another statement that the schooling system failed them. When after 6 years of school you have to do from 3 up to 7 years of residency, it raises questions on what you actually learned. And what you've learned was just the theory. And not to mention that most of the students don't even want to follow that career. I cannot even tell you how many people I met who were pushed to become doctors by their parents, not because they wanted. And this doesn't only apply to doctors, but to most of the professions as well. Most people are in jobs they don't like, doing things they hate just to earn money. People are getting sick and depressed and too weak to change their lives. They think they are just a gear in this system, but they are not even that. They are only the dust that settles on the gears. They went out from the school system, out in the real world, out where the essay on what a drunk writer might have meant when he said something in his novel doesn't matter. What's even the point of studying and analyzing fiction books in school? Dude, read some useful books. Study those. Study how the real life works. And if you want to write fantasy, write and improve yourself on a practical level by doing it yourself. Critique your own work and give it to your peers for critique. You will not become a better writer by reading more books and analyzing what other people wrote. You become a better writer by writing. Anyway, like I said, you are not a gear or cog in the system. Once the schooling system used you and brainwashed you, it spits you out in the real world. How many of you learn in school to do their taxes, or to deal with a job interview, or how to manage and grow your money, or to deal with emotions, or to learn how to be a parent, or at least a human? How many of you were taught responsibility, compassion? I repeat what I said at the beginning of this video. Not everybody should go to school. The school system was invented and developed to create a certain type of people. Obedient workers, the type of people needed for a factory or a corporation. And the system is very good for that. But humans, being humans, took something good and overused it until it broke. You might say that as a parent, you sent your kid to school so he can have a bright future. That a good diploma will allow him to have a good job. Maybe that would have been true 50, 40 years ago, but now the diplomas are becoming more and more useless. The market is flooded with specialists with diplomas. You know how much that diploma is worth it? Nothing. And if you have the bad luck to be a graduate in the US, it's worth less than nothing. How much less? A student loan less. Debt that these kids are carrying with them most of their lives, hoping to find a job to pay for it. So you might say, okay, all good, we already know these things are true, but only complaining and no solutions? Well, did you see the name of this channel? Anyway, here's an idea that might work as a solution. But before doing this, remember, I am not responsible for your decisions. I am just presenting the facts, and you do what you want to do. Anyway, the solution is obvious. Don't go to school. And what to do with all that free time? Work. Work to become a better you, and this doesn't mean necessarily to get a job. And if you cannot afford to take care of yourself, get a job. Having a job will teach you more about life than school. You will be in the real world, you will be with real people. And instead of having debt from a student loan, you will have money saved from your job. The most important thing is to find what you like to do and to find out who you are. Away from people who give you value based on the grades you take. Away from a schooling system that only rewards the people who memorize things. Memorizing things for an exam just to forget them as soon as you leave the room is not learning. Memorizing things just for the fear of a bad grade is not learning. What it is actually fear of punishment. This is what the schooling system teaches. Do this or otherwise you will be punished. The perfect preparation for a factory or a corporation or a military when you have to listen to your superior. Superior. You see, I have a problem with this term superior. Yeah, right, superior with what? F*** off. Just another form of people labeling other people. Superior, inferior, judging others, making others afraid of authority. Authority. Anyway, just for you I prepared a few suggestions for a better schooling system. Number 1, to be free of charge. Yes, you heard that right. The education should be free, since the right to education should be a fundamental right. Number 2, to be optional. I will not be forced to attend. Furthermore, if I am already in school and I am not interested in any of the subjects, I should have the liberty to leave without being punished for it. Number 3, to not be age groups based, since people are not learning in the same way and at the same speed at the same age. Number 4, to not be time based. If it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something, why restrict some classes and subjects just to 1 hour per week? Number 5, to be specialized on actual, real and practical results. For example, learn how to write a book or learn how to build a motorbike. If the purpose is to learn how to write a book, you will first need to learn how to write and how to read, and then to do other things step by step in a practical way. The same thing with a bike. You will learn mathematics, mechanical engineering, hydraulics, and many more other stuff. This way, you will be first-hand learning at a practical level, and most importantly, you will quickly realize if that's something you like doing as a career. If you don't like it, you will move on to the next thing to try. Number 6. Professors should be replaced by experts and leaders in that field. People who not only are willing to teach better than the teachers, but people who also did the things they teach at an expert level. Practice, not only theory. I cannot even tell you in how many subjects I lost interest just because my teacher was a moron, or even worse, he thought he was in the army. Number 7. All the classes should be available online as well and for free. Schools as institutions will not be mandatory unless special equipment is needed. They will be converted in something resembling specialized ateliers and workshops. Number 8. Diplomas will be only provided for highly specialized experts in the field. Finishing engineering school doesn't make you a good engineer. Practice makes you. Just because you barely know a subject doesn't mean you need a diploma. Even now, diplomas are useless. I have friends who didn't even finish high school and they were hired by big tech companies. And big tech rules all of our lives anyway. The fact that they didn't finish high school doesn't make them less valuable as people. As a matter of fact, they are even more valuable to the society. They didn't waste 10 years in school for a useless diploma. They are actively contributing to the society. You can get a diploma after you prove yourself as being an expert in that field. Number 9. Grades should not exist. Punishment for failing is not how real life works, unless you are in a multinational corporation. In life, if you fail, you try again and you learn from what you did wrong. If you are interested in a subject, you will become good at it. And with time, you'll fail less and less. Anyway, it's much less of a chance for you to fail this way. The shaming of people for failing needs to stop. If you want to build something and you fail the first time, you need to understand that failure is always a part of life. Embrace it. Ignore the people who laugh at you for failing, the idiots who told you that's impossible, that's too hard to succeed, and follow your purpose. Which brings us to number 10. The highest purpose of education should be to help people find their purpose, to find out who they are and what they want. And the current schooling systems are doing the opposite. They spit you out in the real world with nothing. Schooling should not divide us in groups and grade us and package us in the same boxes. It should teach us what is to be human, what is to love, to care, to help, to live in the real world, to be happy, to learn from failure, to be a parent, to embrace our flaws and strengths, to learn about fear, how to overcome fear, how to overcome insecurities, how to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. Anyway, leave your comments below on this. I will read them. Tell me what you think about this, what should be done. And remember to support me on Patreon, share and subscribe. Bye.